So, welcome everyone. Let's begin our today's discussion. We are on the seventh mantra of Upadeshamrita. Let's offer prayers together and then we'll have our discussion on this seventh mantra. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So let's begin with I thought I'll put some PPT, so I don't have a PPT for today. We'll just discuss from the book. Book marathon has started, so we are kind of running around. Let's offer prayers for the Goswamis, and then we'll begin with the seventh verse. Nana Shastra Vichane Kanipano Sadharma Samsapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Mahanyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravindra Bhajana Nandena Mattalikayo Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujuno Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujuno Shri Jiva Gopalako. Hare Krishna. So, reading from the text 7th. Screen sharing rights are given. Let me just make the co-hosts so that we can start this program. Can the devotees switch on the cameras who joined us for today's discussion? All right. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Prito Pataptarasanasya Narochikano Kintu Adardanudinam Kalusaiva Jushta Swadavikrama Bhavati Tat Gadamula Hantri. So, Upadeshamit Mantra 7, where now Srila Rupa Goswami speaks about the holy names of the Lord, which are sweet like a candy, but Just like somebody who's afflicted with jaundice, whose tongue loses the taste. In fact, if we taste something sweet, tastes bitter, like that, the holy names of the Lord, which are sweet like candy, in fact, more sweeter than a candy, to somebody who's afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, taste bitter. And then Srila Rupa Goswami gives the solution how to rise above this, or how to cure oneself from this jaundice of avidya and situate oneself in a spiritually healthy condition. So let's take a look at word to word meaning, and then we'll have some discussion, highlight Srila Prabhupada purport, and also want to refer Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writing for this particular subject matter. So word to word meaning, Syat is Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Nama, the holy name. Charita Adi, Charit Adi. Charit means charitra, character. Adi means pastimes and so forth. Gona Rupa Nama Lila. Sita, sugar candy. Api, although. Avidya, of ignorance. Pit, we spoke about kaf, pit, कहते हैं, yeah, kapha, pitta, vat, dosha in the previous discussion. So here, pitta is mentioned. Pitta means by the bile. Upatapta, afflicted. Rasanasya, of the tongue. Na, not. Rochika, palatable. Nu, oh, how wonderful it is. Kintu, but. Adarat, carefully. So there is two words, adarat, anadarat. Another, adarat, and adar. That's how it is. Adar means carefully, which also means respectfully. Another, negligence or disrespect. Anudinam, every day or 24 hours daily. Khalu, naturally. Sa, that sugar candy of the holy name. Eva, certainly. Jushta, taken or chanted. Swadavi, relishable. Kramat, gradually. Bhavati, becomes. Tadgada, of that disease. Mula, of the root. Hantri, the destroyer. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The holy name, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Hare Krishna. So before we look at the purport, there are a few words that we need to pay attention. First, what is the problem or what is the disease that we are suffering from? We are suffering because of avidya, ignorance. What are the symptoms of avidya? We'll talk about it. And avidya, an example is given as pitta rog. As somebody who is suffering from a pitta rog, it leads to jaundice. Pito pataptapsya rasanasya rochikanu. That's the thing which is described as an example. So by taking an example of a pitta rog, how does pitta rog gets rectified? It is described. Similarly, the disease, our distaste or disinterest in chanting and tasting the glories of the holy name can be rectified by two solutions. What are that? It is mentioned in the third line of the verse, Adarat Anudinam. This is the focus of this particular verse. Adarat means with great care, which means if you understand the opposite word of it, which is another, disrespect, so which means respect. Anudinam, every day. And Prabhupada says, always, or 24 hours like this. So if you want to get rid of this disease of avidya, okay, let's define avidya and then we'll look into it. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, as well as in his writing called as Bhakti Bhajan Rahasya, sorry, there he mentions what is avidya. Avidya has three components. First, avidya means lack of sambandha gyan. So what is lack of sambandha gyan? Can anyone define what is sambandha gyan? And the absence of it would be avidya. Anyone? Sambandha gyan. What is sambandha gyan? Madhurati Manjari, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yes. And just one second. After this, I'm going to call all those devotees whose cameras are off. They're apparently sitting, so we'll ask them. Okay. Yes, Madhurati Manjari, go ahead.
Prabhuji, forgetting the role that we are servants of the Lord and we are eternally His servants. We cannot be lords in this universe.
Okay. So thank you for that. So first thing is Krishna is Supreme Personality Godhead, and knowing who Krishna is and knowing who we are. We are the part and parcel of the Lord. This is Sambandha Gyan. And the third thing is about the spiritual nature of the holy name. The name of the Lord is not different than the Lord. So therefore it is mentioned, we'll take a look in Harinam Chintamani, the fault or the avidya leads into this, what we call as a defect, which is called as separation. What is separation? We create a duality. And how we create a duality? We consider the name of the Lord to be different than the Lord. We consider that when the scripture says, in the sense, out of avidya, an individual considers when scriptures glorify the holy name of the Lord as not different than the Lord, it is considered when a person doesn't have faith, when he's covered by avidya, to be exaggeration. So these three things, named to be different than the Lord, not knowing the position of the Lord, and not understanding the position of the jiva, these are the three symptoms of avidya. Anyways, so how do we get rid of it? Kintu adarat anudinam kalu saiva jushta, by regularly and respectfully chanting the holy names of the Lord gradually. Kramad bhavati tadgada mulahantri. Gradually we'll be able to overcome the jaundice of avidya. Now, jaundice, what is the nature of jaundice? Anyone here have ever had a jaundice? What happens in the case of jaundice? It is said to be a particular disease of pitta roga, which arises because of bile. What happens? The first thing that happens in jaundice is we turn yellowish. Yes. And second thing with jaundice, what happens is we lose appetite. There's no taste. So there's no appetite. Second, fever, a little bit fever, intermittent fever. And third, because we lost taste, we become exhausted and indigestion like that. Similarly, so why Srila Rupa Goswami is talking about jaundice here is, similarly, we lose taste. We are suffering because of this disease of avidya. This leads to loss of taste in the chanting of the holy name. So the loss of taste in hearing the glories of the Lord and a guna, rupa, namlila, not only on the holy names of the Lord, when it is mentioned here, Krishna Nama Charitadi, it's not the person doesn't have taste for holy names. He doesn't have taste for hearing about the glories of the Lord. So Shavanam, Kirtanam, and all of that, he loses taste. And that is how it's been described. Now, how does jaundice is recovered? What is the solution for jaundice? Somebody suffering from jaundice. Another thing is, in jaundice, whatever you eat, it tastes bitter. Particularly if you ate something sweet, it tastes bitter. For these two reasons, Srila Rupa Goswami is using the example of jaundice. And what is the solution for jaundice? What medicine is there for jaundice? How do we fix jaundice? Any doctors here? Is voice okay? Somebody saying voice is low. I have done the setup today by myself, so I'm not too technically sound.
Sugarcane, Prabhu.
Why sugarcane?
Why sugarcane means? There's a medicine.
That's a medicine. But why sugar? What happens? I mean, any idea why we give sugar for it?
No, I don't know what's the reason.
Okay.
But I know that it is sugarcane, that's all.
Oh, it's a sugar.
Liver
So,
function is disturbed. So
huh?
the liver functions get disturbed. So sugar
Yeah.
actually helps in the clearing up of the liver mechanism.
A clear mechanism. Anyways, yeah, probably that wasn't the best question for me to ask. We're not here to analyze how it is fixed, but how it is fixed is by taking a, let's say, sugarcane or anything sweet. So here, Srila Rupa Goswami is saying the holy names of the Lord were very, very sweet, transcendently sweet. So if we continue to chant the holy names of the Lord carefully and every day, then gradually this disease over there will be destroyed. So that's a little background over here. So when we're going to talk about this particular subject matter of chanting, the offenses, the 10 kinds of offenses which are mentioned in the holy names of the Lord, and also the 3 stages of chanting. This discussion actually is required to talk about the subject matter. So let's begin with this. Let's take a look at the purport, and then we'll discuss something about the 10 offenses, how to be careful about it, how to be carefully avoid this, and then what is the meaning of Adarat and Anudinam. Purport. Would anyone like to read it? The holy name of Lord Krishna, his qualities, pastimes, so forth are all of the nature of the absolute truth, beauty and bliss. Mithil Prabhu, your hand is up. Go ahead. Naturally, they're very sweet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavad.
Yeah. Please tell
The
us.
holy name of Lord Krishna, his quality, pastimes, and so forth are all the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya or ignorance similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendentally palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue unable to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of Lord, Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnera Nityadasa. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders, the leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Na mamam dushkritino mudah प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमः मायायापहृता ज्ञाना अशुरामं भवम आश्रितः. those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, shlok number 15.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mithil
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
So here so far, Srila Prabhupada is talking about what is the disease condition means. Disease condition means to be attracted more to the material way of living. When a man in the material takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is said to be in a disease condition. And then Prabhupada defines or describes about, what is this life all about? This world is said to be durashraya, which means dur ashraya, shelter. Dur means bad shelter, becomes a candidate for hope against hope. And Prabhupada talks about how the life here in this world is filled of challenges, and an attempt to succeed are baffled one after another. They make a mistake, they try to rectify their mistake by creating another mistake, and that's how the problem continues. Krishna consciousness movement, which has been established, is intending to spread the remedy to counteract this gross ignorance. But then Prabhupada says, what to do? There is a what do you say, statewide effort, we can say that, a cumulative effort. In other words, Prabhupada mentions, wherein the leaders like politicians, philosophers, scientists, or educationists, they all are trying to keep the masses covered with this avidya or ignorance. And then Prabhupada quotes the shloka from Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, 4 kinds of sinful men, they do not surrender unto him. And then Prabhupada continues in the next paragraph on the same theme. Such people never surrender to Krishna. They oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. So 2 things. One, we are attracted towards material way of life. And second, there is a cumulative effort by the leaders of the society to keep us trapped into the ways, into the illusory ways of living. These are the 2 things which Prabhupada is kind of indicating here. When such atheists becomes leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is charged with nescience or avidya or ignorance. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement. Just like Prabhupada says, a deceased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world aright. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a deceased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. It's a solution for us. Again, we'll come back to this with great care and attention. We can mark it, very important. One begins his treatment by chanting the holy names of the Lord, because by chanting the holy name of the Lord, a person in the mental condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankara, that is, false ego within the heart. So, if you want to get rid of this avidya, chanting is the solution. But people do not have taste, and that becomes a challenge. So often, you might have heard from Srila Prabhupada also. Often Prabhupada said that whatever and everything that we do, it has only one goal. And the goal is to create a facility for public at large to hear about Krishna. It is only through hearing about Krishna this disease of avidya can be cured. So here comes my question to all of you. If chanting is the most important thing, then why did Srila Rupa Goswami didn't started his Upadeshamrita with this as the first verse? Why did he hold on such important verse until the seventh mantra? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. When we talk about the glories of the holy name of the Lord, it is mentioned just by chanting once the holy name of the Lord, all inauspiciousness, all past sinful reactions, all are destroyed. We discussed some of it in the previous session, how our aprarabdh, how kriyamana karma, how prarabdh, even that is destroyed. And not only that, the chanting of the holy names are so powerful. Not only it uproots or it destroys the past sinful reactions, the cause for committing further sinful reaction, the inclination and the root, that is avidya, that is also destroyed. Sorry, one second. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was getting a call on my personal number. So what was I saying about it? Yeah, so my question to all of you. So why did Srila Rupa Goswami didn't talk about this right in the beginning? Why he had to wait for the 6 verses to get over and then he speak at the 7th verse? Any thoughts on it? Because it's the most important thing. Let's emphasize on chanting of the holy names of the Lord right at the beginning, and everything else will be fixed. Our inclination to commit further sins, all that will be taken care if we just take care of it. For example, the first verse talks about, tolerating the urges. Second verse talks about giving the bad habits. That all can get fixed if we take to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Any thoughts onto it? Or there's just no connection? Gauranga. 1 second. Okay, anyways. Vaikuntapati Prabhu, please go ahead.
See, even to chant the holy name of the Lord, that is called bhajana kriya. For that, you need the association of the devotees. So
Okay.
that's where the sadhu sangha comes. And only when we are in the association of the devotees, association, then, getting engaged in the chanting, and then all those things become easier. So first is to create that faith and to create that the importance of the association of devotees. And from then later on, he comes to chanting of the holy.
Okay, thank you so much. Very nice. Anything else for this? So if you see in the previous words, Srila Rupa Goswami says, give up the material calculation of the devotees. And it is that habit and tendency which leads to Vaishnava aparadh. And now let's talk about the solution which is given here. Adarat anudinam. Adarat means with great care, which also means with respect. Our acharyas have given us the 10 offenses or nam aparadh to be avoided. Actually, these are found in Padma Puran, and it is a conversation happening between Sanat Kumar and Narada Muni. The first reference of this 10 Nama Aparadh comes in Hari Bhakti Vilas. It's in the 11th chapter of it. I really wanted to speak on the subject matter in detail, but I don't have a PPT prepared for it. So I'll just speak, not making too much complicated, a little bit about it. And I'll show you some verses from the soft copy that I have. So it is, if we all remember these 10 offenses, so I just saying what's the reference of it is Sanat Kumar speaking to Narad Muni. And then after the 10 offenses, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur highlights the root of all of this is inattentiveness. It is also a great offense to be inattentive in chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is what we say after reciting the 10 offenses. Now the question arises, what is the root for inattentive chanting? And that has been answered by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself. And he says the root of inattentive chanting is disrespect. Therefore, here when Srila Rupa Gosai talks about, he says, Adarat, again with great care or attention or respect. It all combines together in that way. So now if you look at the 10 offenses, there is a book called as Harinam Chintamani, which was written in 1900 by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This entirely talks about these 10 offenses. There are 15 chapters, and I so much wanted to really have discussion. I'll in future, maybe when I get time to prepare a slide deck, we'll discuss. But here I'll just speak some points from it. So if you look at this, okay, just a little bit about this book called as Harinam Chintamani, which actually talks upon in detail about these 10 offenses. So here the conversation that Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes is between Srila Haridas Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is Haridas Thakur who is speaking to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about this 10 aparadhas. So two things are mentioned in this book, Sri Harinam Chintamani. One is the 10 offenses. And second, the 3 stages of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Why am I talking about it? Because Srila Prabhupada, in the next paragraph, he speaks about it. Let's take a look at it, and then I'll come back to the subject matter. And then we'll see how it is connected with the solution, Adarat and Anudinam. The real disease, going back to the purport again, the real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. There is a text, I believe I have been quoting lately. I quoted in the previous, session also. There's another text which is called as Vaishnava Smriti Shastra, that is called as Hari Bhakti Vilas. There we have so much details about the subject matter. This is the 11th chapter, which talks about all these qualities of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Anyways, now next paragraph, Prabhupada says, there are 3 stages in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The offensive, the chanting of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. Does anyone know what is the Sanskrit equivalent of these 3 stages? The offensive, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. You can just unmute and speak up, because I can't see anything when the screen is shared.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think they are Nama Para, Nama Bhasha, and Suddha Nama.
Thank you. Nama Parad, Nama Bhas, and Shuddha Nam, like this. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, he generally commits many offenses, Nama Aparad, and then Nama Bhas. So Nama Aparad to Nama Bhas is when we carefully follow these 10 offenses, we avoid this, then we move from Nama Aparad to Nama Bhas. Is that okay? And he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses. So what are the aparad? There are the 10 aparadhas. And if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage. That is from Nama Aparad, he comes to the Nama Bhas stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and the pure chanting, which means Nama Aparad and Shuddha Nam. So when we carefully avoid the 10 offenses, we come situated at Nama Bhas stage. Which is when one attains the pure stage, then when goes to the next stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called as Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam, Shishashtakam, first verse. And as soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life. So therefore, because Srila Prabhupada mentions over here, then I thought, why don't we just speak a little bit about the subject matter of the 10 offenses. How do we move from Nama Aparad to Nama Bhas stage? By carefully avoiding. So first of all, why we fail to chant, as our Acharya says, as this was highlighted, why we fail to chant the holy names of the Lord properly is disrespect. Disrespect towards what? Now, if you look at the 10 offenses, okay, I'll take the book directly.
Blaspheme the devotees who have
If in case, yeah, you can just pull out online the 10 English, equivalents of those 10 offenses. So devotees will find it easy because I don't have it handy. You were saying something? Was it Vaikuntapati Prabhu?
Yeah, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord, to consider the names of Lord Vishnu or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu, to disobey
Lord
the
Shiva.
orders of the spiritual. To consider the name of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Like that, you want me to say, yeah, it has come. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures in persons of the Vedic Persian.
Correct. So, yeah, these are the things. Great one that I've shared. So, if you pay attention to, let's say, the first four, I had been recently speaking about it also. It is all about disrespect. The first is to show disrespect towards the Vaishnavas or sadhus. Second is to show disrespect towards the Lord by giving respect at the equal level to Devatas. Third is to show disrespect to Guru. And fourth is to show disrespect to the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic version. So out of the 10, the first four talks about disrespect, another. So therefore it is mentioned why these nama aparadh exist is because of disrespectful attitude. So what is this disrespectful attitude? What it means by this? How do I begin with? Okay, I'll begin with this Harinam Chintamani. I'll take a look at it. Then after this, we'll talk about Namabhas. So the first is blasphemy of a Vaishnava. So blasphemy of Vaishnava or a sadhu. Who is a sadhu? In general, if you look at the writings of acharyas and as well as our bhakti shastras, the devotees, we don't criticize anyone. If we ever criticize, there is any criticism in a speech of a sadhu is generally towards the philosophy. If you want to criticize, find fault with, we are allowed to find fault with our philosophy, what we think of, not about individual. So when it is said about to blaspheme the devotee or a sadhu, Srila Prabhupada defines who is a sadhu. There are two types of sadhus. Prabhupada writes in many places there are two types of transcendentalists, which means sadhus. Who are the two types of transcendentalists? Anyone? There are two kinds of transcendentalists.
Personalist and impersonalist.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Personalist and impersonalist. So when the first verse says to blaspheme, here actually we said a devotee, but the actual Sanskrit says is about sadhu, which means both personalist and impersonalist. Now let's talk about personalist first, then we'll talk about impersonalist. Now personalist, why it is considered Vaishnava Prad. This is Vaishnava Prad. Okay, the third one also, Avigya, Guru Avigya, which means disrespecting Guru, is also Vaishnava Prad. Why it is considered to be so serious is because it is the Vaishnava or it is a sadhu who introduces the world to the holy name of the Lord. And the one who is introducing you and everyone to the holy name of the Lord, then the people criticize the same sadhu. How can Harinam Prabhu and the Lord tolerate? So that's the first thing. Now, second thing about the impersonalist. Okay, that's a little tricky subject matter. But regarding impersonalists, there are two things. One is a Mayavadi, one is a Brahmavadi, and third is a Bhakta. Right? Is that clear? You got to have attention here. Huh? So there is a Mayavadi.
Prabhuji,
and
personalist will have Bhakta.
How Bhakta, Prabhu?
Impersonalist will
Wait. We're coming. No, I'm not saying they're Bhaktas. I'm saying there are three which you will find in Prabhupada's writings. One is called Mayavadi, second is called Brahmavadi, and third is called as personalist, right? You know these things. So Prabhupada often would, when he would translate in English, Mayavadi and Brahmavadi, he would call it as impersonalist. But actually, impersonalist is Brahmavadi. So we have discussed this in Ishopanishad, just to help us understand the difference between Mayavadi and Brahmavadi. So now 4 Kumaras that we talk about, the 4 Kumaras are Brahmavadi. They are Paramatmavadis. 1 second, sorry, I'm just got to attend to one person here. I'm coming back.
No, Prabhuji, you are on mute.
Hare Krishna. All right. It's audible now? So I was just saying, establishing in our culture, we don't disrespect an individual, we don't tarnish anyone's character, but we talk or argue about the philosophy if it is against the Vaishnava or the Vedic understanding. Now, when it comes about sadhu, the very first verse, we don't find faults with the devotees. And there are 2 types of transcendentalist devotees, as well as, which means personalist and impersonalist. An example of impersonalist is 4 Kumaras. So like this, now it is not that only the devotees of the Lord introduces the holy name of the Lord. Even in many impersonal schools, even they have chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Although they may have a different understanding, but the point here is, in general, we do not criticize a person. We should not jump, or we should not take it as an advantage to find faults with individuals, because these individuals may have a little philosophical different understanding, but their character could be or still impeccable. That's how it is mentioned. This is not accepted because they're also introducing the world to the holy names of the Lord. I have myself visited few ashrams where they chant other mantras also, but their students would also chant the holy names of the Lord. So like this has been established about not to offend. Is that okay? Let's take a look at the Harinama Chintamani. We are not talking about Mayavadi. That's the reason I was making a point earlier. That there is Mayavadis also and impersonalists also. Then in Harinam Chintamani, actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about renounce, order, and grahastha, like this. Now, in the 6th verse that we read, it talked about, not doing the material calculation. And that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes over here. And he says, a Vaishnava may be criticized on 4 counts. His caste by birth, previous sins or faults committed in this life, an unpremeditated act of sin, and a slight traces of previous sinful habits. This is the material calculation. He says, though all these conditions may be present in a particular Vaishnava, where they are in themselves insubstantial grounds for criticism of a Vaishnava. Yamraj will punish one who blasphemes the Vaishnava on these grounds, because the Vaishnava is spreading the glories of the Lord's name. The Lord will not tolerate such criticism of a Vaishnava. These faults will not appear, however, in a pure Vaishnava at all. So true Vaishnava, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, avoids any kind of sadhu ninda. Nindandi shunyam hridaya ipsita sangalapta. And what is the cause of sadhu nanda? Why would somebody take to the path of finding faults? He says it arises because of asat sangha. The devotee should carefully avoid asat sangha. So therefore, as I said, the text 7 is mentioned here. Chanting the holy names of the Lord has been mentioned here, because prior to it, there are certain things which we need to bring in our practice to be able to chant the holy names of the Lord while carefully avoiding 10 offenses. So we have to give up asat sangha, and that has been already mentioned in previous verses of Upadeshamrita. And two kinds of asasanga, which is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam also. One, the association of opposite sex, except for the purpose of service, and an association with those who are devoid of devotion to the Lord, like this. So there are three types of association with non-devotees: Mayavadis, pretenders, and the atheists. Like this is the whole subject matter continues. That was about, can we have the slide please? To not, the first offense is to blaspheme a devotee who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Second, it is mentioned to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. For those of you who would be more interested, please do read this book for more details onto it. I'm just giving you a little synopsis here, a little introduction. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to. Now, Lord Shiva and Brahma are not at the same level. Brahmaji comes under Jiva Tattva and Lord Shiva comes under Shiva Tattva. Lord Shiva is nothing but an expansion of Sankarshan. Who is Lord Shiva? What is an understanding according to Bhagavatam? 8th canto talks about it. It's for the purpose of association with the material energy. Lord Vishnu expands himself as Shiva, and Shiva connects with Parvati, who is nothing but the material energy, like this. So to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva to be equal to, which means to say Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu is one, is same, or to consider Lord Shiva and Vishnu are independent. Lord Shiva is independent. Both are considered to be an offense. It's something like, imagine, now we know Lord Shiva always meditates on Sankarshan. So imagine if a disciple is being glorified by his followers, and the follower says, you are the only connection to Radha Krishna, you are our only hope. Like this, there is nothing beyond you, there is nothing after you, you are the only acharya who have existed for us, and they glorify like that. Without a doubt, that disciple would feel disrespected himself, because he knows that all the glories belong to my spiritual master. In that way, it is said, in fact, it's an offense. Now, Brahmaji, he comes under Jiva Tattva. To now equate Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva, that's how it becomes an offense. And third is, it is said to blaspheme. Can we have the slide again, please? And now the third thing about it, knowing that they are not one with the Lord, it doesn't mean that we begin to disrespect them. We should offer respect to them, knowing their relationship with the Lord, knowing their connection with the Lord. In that way, we should offer respect. It is not that the devotees of the Lord, we read in Prabhupada Purpose how it is mentioned that we should not disrespect Devatas. If we disrespect Devatas, then it also becomes an offense to the holy name of the Lord, Nama Aparad. And these are the peculiar qualities at the Kanishta stage. So to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or independent, and taking that cue as Lord Vishnu is the greatest, now we have the right to disrespect Devatas. That is also an offense to Harinama Prabhu. Like this whole details are there. Maybe we can consider one or two more. Third, it is mentioned to disobey the orders of the spiritual master or to consider him as an ordinary person. What does it mean by to disobey the orders of the spiritual master? Here, when it is mentioned about to disobey the orders, it is not only restricted to, first of all, who is the spiritual master? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about spiritual master is Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. Second thing, this the third offense, it does not only refer to disobeying the instruction, but in general, being disrespectful to the spiritual master. How can we be disrespectful to the spiritual master in general? Not following the instruction is one thing, but how can we be in general disrespectful to one spiritual master? We can take out the slide, Mother, now. Any thoughts onto this? How can we be disrespectful to one spiritual master? And then we'll discuss about Shikshak and Dikshak, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. And let me take out my reference here. How
Prabhu, sorry, I lost your question. Yeah.
How, in general, can we be disrespectful to our spiritual master?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, by not following their instructions.
That is correct. That is done. It is said the third offense itself says to disobey the orders. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's not only about disobeying the order, which is disrespectful, but in general also being disrespectful to one's spiritual master. So let me share my screen.
When we don't offer obeisances to the spiritual master, whenever we see him, we don't follow the regulative principles, when we don't chant 16 rounds, everything is an offense.
All right. So this is Hari Bhakti Vilas. Here, Gopal, but oh, Goranga, so many distractions, many phone calls. So here, this is the chapter number 1. And from verse number, this whole actually talks about relationship between guru and disciple, the qualities of a guru, qualities of disciple, their relationship, etc., etc. So let's look at some of the things, how we can be disrespectful to one spiritual master. Let me start with it. Let's start with verses 82 and 83. And let's take a look. These verses are hopefully visible to all of you here. Should I increase the size of the present? This?
No,
okay.
okay. Yeah.
So disciple, I'm not going to go into the verses and the words going to take too much time. I'm just giving you some clue here for extra reading for all of you. The disciple should not leave. We're talking about in general means how we can be disrespectful towards one spiritual master. It's just not only about disobeying, but there's so many things in our behavior towards him that we could be disrespectful. Text number 82, Hari Bhakti Vilas, Vilas number 1, and text number 82. Disciples should not leave without taking permission. Should always try to please the spiritual master, which means anukul, and should never place his feet near his spiritual master, or in other words, our feet should not be pointing towards the spiritual master. In the direction where the spiritual master is sitting, we should not point our feet in that direction. In the company of the spiritual master, the disciple should not yawn, laugh, snap his finger, or do other impolite activities. Okay. Now this verse, let's go to text number 88. That's pretty interesting. It is said, Guru Shayasanam Yanam Paduke Padapithakam Snanodakam Tatha Chayam Langyan Na Kadachan. Langya means to cross over. Disciple should never step on his spiritual master's bed, asana, shoes, bath water, or shadow. He should not use the spiritual master's vehicle. That is also kind of mentioned. I have a hard copy, so I'm reading from there. The meaning could be a little bit different. We can take a look at the Sanskrit also. Text number 89. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, we don't have so much opportunity to be in a personal association, and all these offenses are in relation to personal association. Wait. More is coming. We're just introducing here. And there's something very interesting going to come here, which I was also guilty of negligent at my end for a long time. And you might realize for yourself also some of the things. The disciple should not worship or glorify someone else in front of his spiritual master. He should not think himself to be as good as a spiritual master. Give initiation, explain literature, oppose himself as a master in front of his spiritual master. In other words, do not show off. Be in the mood of a humble servant. And then there is a quote from Narada Muni. The same thing, this quote is also, text number 90 says the same thing, that, we should not disobey the orders. The disciple should never step on his spiritual master's asana, vehicle, wooden or sleepers, clothes, shadow, etc. And now comes something from Manusmriti. This is something where mistakes happen the most. Let me just zoom in for all of your listening. In Manusmriti, it is said, Nodharet Guru Nama Paroksham Api Kevalam Na Chaivasyanu Kurvita Gati Bhashana Cheshtitam. In other words, the one should not, okay, little bit zoom in. Okay, one should not speak the sacred name of his spiritual master, even if the spiritual master is not present. Neither should one imitate the style of his spiritual master, walking, speaking, or performing other activities. What it means, you'll get to know in the following shloka. What it means that one should not speak the sacred name of his spiritual master. In Narada Pancharatra, it is mentioned. The same thing has been explained more in Narada Pancharatra. What is that? Let's take a look at text number 94 and 95. 94 and 95. Narad Muni, Narada Pancharatra, it is mentioned. Yatha tatha yatra tatra naha grihya cha kevalam abhaktya na guru nama grihya cha yatatmavan. One should never, under any circumstance, speak the sacred name of a spiritual master. A self-controlled disciple will never speak the name of a spiritual master without respect and devotion. Okay, let me just explain this point particularly what is mentioned. When it is said the disciple should not take the name of spiritual master, it doesn't mean we don't say the name of the spiritual master, but it means we should not speak it without properly offering respect. In fact, it is said when you're chanting the name or when you're calling out the name of spiritual master, it should be with a folded hand, just like we say in the Prema Dhwani. Does anyone remember Prema Dhwani? After prayers or after any singing, we offer Prema Dhwani. How do we address Srila Prabhupada or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that time? Anyone like to recite that?
Namo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Shata His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
What is the meaning of it?
Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya. So I pay my respectful obeisances unto Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Parivrajakaacharya, who is traveling all around the world, spreading the message of Lord Sri Krishna. Ashtotra Shata, 108 times obeisances. I don't know, Prabhu. I think so. Ashtotra Shata, His Divine Grace. Yeah. So yeah, I pay my respectful obeisances probably 108 times. To the spiritual master who travels all around the world to spread the message of Krishna consciousness.
And one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Om Vishnu Pad. One who is Paramhamsa, Parivrajakaacharya, Sri Ashtotat, Srimad, or His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda, Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Not that our Bhakti Vedanta said like this. How many times have we come across, articles and sometimes maybe in lectures when we bring the name of a spiritual master. So now somebody may say, "Arey, itna lamba bolna padega." Now think about it. Just think about it for a second. How much, if in case a care, attention, and respect comes into the picture, even if not, somebody says His Holiness, my spiritual master's name, as compared to saying the name directly. Now, just saying the name directly, it indicates little casualness. But now saying it with a proper, respectful connotation, then it shows that person is getting into that prayerful mood, and now he recognizes whom he's calling out. Like that, there are many things which are mentioned in this first vilas about how, in general, we become disrespectful to one spiritual master, and all that leads to Harinam. So earlier we talked about things which were in close proximity with our spiritual master. I give you one example where even if you're not in close proximity, we can still consider the offense. Now let me give you another example where there are a lot of chances of committing aparadhs. This one, I'll not go into many details, I promise for that. Let me give you one example. Here is mentioned, and let's take a look at text number 96. Yeah, text number 96. So text number 96 says, this is from Narada Pancharatra only, Narad Muni is speaking. Just going to the translation directly. A disciple should never, out of illusion, give orders to his spiritual master or disobey the instructions of the spiritual master. He should not eat anything without first offering to his spiritual master. These rules must be followed by a disciple after he takes initiation. Guru Maharaj, I am working so hard. I want to publish your book. Can you please get me a pen? I need to write something. It is just kept on the corner of the room. If you can help me with it. So, like that is mentioned, one should never ever order or instruct one's spiritual master. A disciple should greet his spiritual master whenever he sees the spiritual master. He should not sit on an asana or lie down in front of his spiritual master. And all nice food or drinks first must be offered to one spiritual master. A disciple can accept his spiritual master remnants. Like that, it is mentioned many things. His disciple serves. So, like this, 10 offenses. There are many details to it, and these are some general description. Just going back to Harinam Chintamani a little bit on this spiritual master. Who is the spiritual master? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, now this is different than a sadhu which is mentioned in the first offense, disrespecting a spiritual master. He says, okay, by the way, what is the function of a guru? What does guru does? The function of the guru is mentioned also, and again in Hari Bhakti Vilas from Yamala Vishnu Yamala Tantra. There are two things which is actually described as a definition of Diksha also. Divyam Jnanam Dadati. Divyam Jnanam Dadati means is to bestow transcendental knowledge. And second, to destroy all the sinful tendencies or sinful reactions. And this is said to be Kurvanti Diksheti. This is said to be Diksha, like it is said. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur, going back to Harinam Chintamani, he says, well, who is a spiritual master? Well, there are two kinds of spiritual master. Gurus are of two types. I'm just reading from here. Diksha Guru, or the person who gives us Krishna mantra. Shiksha Guru, the person or persons who gives teaching on the tattva. The devotee who desires quick advancement will give both gurus equal respect. A person can accept only one Diksha Guru, but may have many Shiksha Gurus who give Sambandh Gyan. All the Vaishnavas who generate auspiciousness by distribution of the holy name are regarded as Shiksha Gurus. So when it is mentioned in this context that both should be given respect on the same level, sometimes what happens here is, of course, this is something because of our cultural upbringing now. Okay, this is a sensitive subject. I'm not going to it at this point of time. Okay, so our scriptures identify two gurus, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. Anyways, here you will find for all of these apradhas 10 offenses. If in case an offense has been committed, what is the remedy for it? If we start discussing on that, it'll be a too long a discussion here. So that's the subject matter here. If in case anyone has any questions to clarify before I move forward, we discuss a few things here. Based on that, we can take the discussion further on these 10 apradhas. Yes, Vaikuntapati Prabhu, you seem to be about to say something. The words are just spilling out of your mouth. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to understand these 82 to 96 verses what you read out.
Yes,
This is from that Hari Chintamani book only?
No, Hari Bhakti Vilas.
This is from Hari Bhakti Vilas, right?
Yeah, this is something which I introduced last time when I spoke about text 6.
Okay.
I introduced this book and this writing, why it was written by Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatt Goswami.
Okay. Now, the question comes is that when these things were introduced, all this, at that time, invariably, the students were going to Gurukul and where they were having a single Diksha Guru, who was taking care of them completely. But nowadays, in the system, what we find is we have several Shiksha Gurus, and to have an access to Diksha Guru is not all that easy.
Absolutely.
So in such a situation, now this is a changed situation. So in a changed situation, although we are being told that there is not much of a difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru, etc., how do we really follow it? Because it's really so many, there is
See,
one general statement we can make that yes, towards everybody you
so
should
what
follow
it
the same. Makes it easy then.
correct, what it means here is both can take us back home, back to Godhead. Diksha Guru connects us to the parampara, to the lineage, and Shiksha Guru establishes the Sambandha Gyan. And now, in the case of at the time of institution of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada played both the role, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. Now, in the physical absence of Srila Prabhupada plays again the same role, but a little different. Now he is the most prominent Shiksha Guru, whereas we have our own Diksha Guru. Now, with the most prominent Shiksha Guru, other Shiksha Gurus also teaches us based on the teachings and principle established by Srila Prabhupada. With a single pointed goal, is to arise prema in the heart of a disciple or a student. So when it is said we can have many Shiksha Gurus, point is not to discriminate and differentiate one with other. Oh, Diksha Guru. Now the point is how much Diksha Guru in today's situation may be involved in the life of a disciple. In terms of, let's say, talk about Adho Shraddha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya. In Bhajana Kriya, how much maybe the spiritual master may be involved. So for many, the Shiksha Guru may play a more prominent role. Therefore, traditionally, Shiksha Guru was selected with the approval of the Diksha Guru. Now, how it functions, what is my understanding of it, how it functions in ISKCON, that can happen largely by when you're connected to a particular temple. There, first of all, nobody can appoint a Shiksha Guru. You should be inspired. And then when you want to accept something traditionally, you'll take a permission, just like in the case of, Jiva Goswami and his Gurukul. We had the three, stalwarts, your Shamananda, Gopal Bhatt, not Gopal Bhatt, Shamananda ji, and what is that? Narottam Das Thakur. And
Srinivas Acharya.
Srinivas. Yeah, so they were all sent there by the respective spiritual master to go and take guidance like this. So that's how now we have another terminology which is quite institutional specific, that is counselors or mentors. That is not part of ISKCON's law book. There is no reference like this in part of our ISKCON law book which exists. That is locally established and settled locally within the relationship of a temple, which means some temple communities may have it, other temple communities may not have it. But as a Vaishnava, we have a principle of Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. This is a universal fact. So this is how there's yes.
So coming to the same point, see, even for 10 years back, if you wanted to take a Shiksha Guru, you had to take the permission of your Diksha Guru. Okay. Even 10 years back, this system was there. That whenever anyone wants to take a Shiksha Guru, he has to go to his Diksha Guru, and the Diksha Guru will recommend you take this person as a Shiksha Guru. Now what has happened is, it has proliferated so much. It's gone on its activities. Now, for example, you are my Shiksha Guru here. Question, have I taken the permission of my Guru Maharaj? I have not taken the permission. But I'm still learning from you. So I still treat you as a Shiksha Guru. So is it right or is it wrong? I mean, it's a very straightforward question I'm asking.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer for this thing. This is, who do we call a Shiksha Guru precisely? I don't have the answer for it, frankly speaking. I was just making a point over here because this term is vague in terms of the ISKCON practices. Yeah. There's a different understanding. So I am not defining who is a Shiksha Guru, and I would not like to go in discussion about Shiksha Guru. We are speaking about how to avoid Namaprad. Your point is valid. Now, we may consider somebody as a Shiksha Guru, but I was just saying how these terms are a little different. And when it is said Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, traditionally, according to scriptural point of view, both of them or any one of them, and connects us back home, back to God. There was a connection. And there does not necessarily have to be one Shiksha Guru. There can be many Shiksha Gurus. Which means you're learning about different subject matter from different experts. And now when it comes to offering respect, when we are talking about offering respects to everyone, There should not be another. Then what's the point of, why not should we offer respect to somebody who has taught us, who has established our connection with the Lord in whatever capacity? So in that way, that's totally fine. No, so we call somebody Shiksha Guru or not, I don't know about it.
No, of course, yeah. So a similar question was raised to Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj, in Radha Gopinath's Mandir only this was raised, this particular question. And the Maharaj said that it's not that because you are not able to approach your Diksha Guru, that doesn't mean that you are not able to learn. Surrounding you, there are so many devotees, there are so many seniors who are teaching from whom you can learn. So all these people are also Siksha Gurus.
Correct.
You must say. So so even without taking the permission nowadays, you can still have the Shiksha Gurus.
Correct. We were traditionally, that was just a one slide point. That was not a part of our discussion, core discussion. Traditionally, it used to happen like this. And traditionally, many things used to happen which are not happening today. Which is not possible in terms of the whole overall organization. So that is not the key point. Neither your spiritual master going to be upset with you without my knowledge. You joined Bhakti Shastri program.
Of course not.
Who signed the application? Who gave you the permission? Vaikuntapati Prabhu. Without my permission, you cannot study Prabhupada books. Not at all, is it?
Prabhu, actually, Guru Maharaj is so pleased, Prabhu. If we complete our Bhakti Shastri degree, that is one of the ways we can really please our spiritual master. At least that much is very clear.
He knows that I'm doing it with you. My Guru Maharaj knows it. But after starting, I informed him that I'm doing my Bhakti Shastri. He asked me, are you doing Bhakti Shastri? I said, yes. I'm doing it with Madan Sundar Prabhu, attached to this Pune temple, everything. I told him and he was happy. He said, that's very good. He said,
okay.
Permission is there.
Yeah. So that's okay. So we're talking again, going back to the subject matter of these 10 offenses. So again, just to highlight these things, we were discussing on the subject matter on the book called as Nectar of Instruction. Neither Hari Bhakti Vilas nor Harinam Chintamani. I just used it as a reference to discuss about the 7th verse, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi, where it is mentioned, just doing a quick recap of it, and now we will move forward from the discussion here. So it is mentioned that because of avidya, because of ignorance, that has put us into a jaundice-like situation, due to which we are not able to taste the transcendently sweet holy names of the Lord. It's not only the holy names of the Lord, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi, which means the Guna, Rupa, Nam, Lila. Most importantly, we don't find, in other words, a conditioned living entity, do not find any taste or attraction towards the glories of the Lord. And that is further perpetuated, or this kind of ignorance is further perpetuated by the atheistic leaders of the society, who are the scientists, who are the educationists, who are the politicians, etc., who are further spreading this disease of avidya. And therefore, Prabhupada says ISKCON has been founded or created to remedy this widespread problem of avidya. How do we do so? So it is mentioned we have to create an opportunity for individuals to hear about Krishna. The only way the process can begin with, when they can hear about Krishna, hear the glories of the Lord. So whatever we all do, we do it just to facilitate for an individual to hear about the Lord. Then Prabhupada says, going back to the discussion again, then Prabhupada talks about, the solution is given as Adarat Anudinam, respectfully, and Anudinam, and every day. So Prabhupada talks about it. There are 3 stages of chanting of the holy names of the Lord: Namaprad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. What is the stage of Namaprad? Where means we are offending the holy name of the Lord. So how do we offend the holy name of the Lord? There are 10 offenses. The 10 ways we commit aparad towards the Harinam Prabhu. What are the 10 offenses? We were discussing that. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life. So here I raised a question, why Srila Rupa Goswami chose to include this subject matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord, which is the most important pivotal in our Krishna conscious journey. So much so it is said, by just chanting the holy names of the Lord, you can eradicate all your past and reaction. Not only that, you uproot the desires to further commit, which means your tendencies, your inclination, all changes by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So why wasn't it put right in the beginning when we were talking about controlling the senses, giving up vices, accepting the good qualities, etc., etc.? The reason is because to be able to chant, we need to avoid Namaprad. And why does nama aparad comes? Very first thing is committing aparad to the Vaishnavas, arising because of material calculations, which was mentioned in the 6th verse. The second is disrespecting the Devatas, disrespecting Lord Shiva, or disrespecting the Lord Vishnu in relation to Shiva and Brahma. We talked about it, how considering them all at equal same level or considering all of them to be independent. And the third way, because now Vishnu is the highest, we disrespect the Devatas like this. And the third was to disobey the orders and instructions. Spiritual Master, and this subject matter we were quoting from Hari Bhakti Vilas, that what it does mean actually to disrespect spiritual masters, not only disobey his instructions, but there are general ways also we could be disrespectful, crossing over his tadya, his belongings, instructing, suggesting the various ways we commit. And then another way of a disrespectful attitude is, first of all, publicly announcing his names, although we are announcing his names, which are not supposed to be done in general, as mentioned here. Even if we do so, it should be very respectfully done. Then it shows that we have awe and reverence for our spiritual master. These are some of the things which were mentioned in the chapter. Like this offenses continue. Then we have disrespect towards shastras and scriptures, to compare between them, and all that continues. So this subject matter, for all of you, I really wanted to do it, create a slide deck and discuss in detail. I couldn't do it. We got to finish the syllabus also for all of you. You're going to be pandits soon with Bhakti Shastri degree. Do get this copy for yourself. Harinam Chintamani is a short book. You can read it for yourself. Just briefly speaking about the stage of Namabhas. What's the difference between Namaprad and Namabhas? Namaprad, you're committing 10 aparad, or any of the aparad, we are Namaprad. What is Namabhasa stage? Namabhasa stage is described, though one may speak of the holy name being covered by the clouds of anarthas. In reality, the sun of the holy name can never be covered. In other words, in case of aparad, Namaprad, we don't get any glimpse of the holy name of the Lord. However, in case of Namabhas stage, there are still certain anarthas which are covering the access to the glory of the holy name. And the example is given like the cloud covering the sun rays. Namabhasa is like where some sun rays is visible, or some rays are penetrating through, but not all. The sun is covered, but some sun rays are coming through. And that is said to be Namabhasa stage. So let me share one document which will summarize the subject very well. So there are three things which are pivotal for anarthas. Is it visible? Not visible. I'll have to share it. This is a summary note from Harinam Chintamani. So this is one cause. The person who does not know clearly the nature of these principles, in other words, avidya. What is avidya? Avidya is three types, as we spoke about: not understanding the nature of the Lord, jiva, and also not understanding the true nature of the holy name of the Lord, Namabhas. So at this stage, there is a cloud of ignorance and anartha, which still continue to minimize the effect of the name on the chanter. So what is a cloud of ignorance? These are the three types of ignorance. Sambandha Gyan is not properly situated. And what are the anarthas? There are three kinds of anarthas are being described. First is called asat trishna. Trishna means hankering. Asat means temporary. What are these? Craving for the things of this world, material objects. Craving for the pleasure of the heavens. Third, craving for the Ashtasiddhi yogis, mystical powers, or moksha, liberation. This is asat trishna. Then another kind, the second type of anartha is hridaya darbalyam, weakness of the heart, arising because of attachment to material things, trivial things, deceit, tendency to cheat, envy towards others, and puja, labha, pratishtha. These are all the qualities of hridaya darbalyam. And then comes aparadas also. So by these anarthas, the influence of the holy name becomes obstructed and the full transcendental nature of the name is not manifested. The jiva will continue under the shadow of namavas as long as he is ignorant of sambandha tattva. The basic facts concerning the jiva, God, and prakriti and the mutual relationship. How when the serious student takes shelter of bona fide guru, By force of his effective spiritual practice, he can remove the obstruction blocking the sun of the holy name. When the cloud and mist go away, the brilliant sun of the name becomes visible and bestows upon the devotee the treasure of love of God. After the bona fide Guru gives Sambandh Gyan, he instructs Shishya, that is called Bhajana Kriya, which is also called as Abhidheya, Sadhana Bhakti. By this specific process, the Nam will show his influence and will drive out the anarthas. Finally, the Jiva achieves the goal of life, that is, कहते हैं, love of God. In that position, he continues to chant the holy name of the Lord in full spiritual bliss of prema. So, to summarize this discussion, adarat, which means respectfully. Respect towards the Vaishnavas, respect towards the scriptures, respect towards Guru, etc., etc. This is how we can overcome our inattentive chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Coming to the concluding paragraph of this text number 7, we learned about. So, Prabhupada writes, the conclusion is. What somebody would like to read? What is the conclusion? What says? In order to get freed from the material disease.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Okay, Mother, go ahead.
The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One must begin with faith. And when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtana parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily, and refraining from illicit sex, intoxicants, meat eating, and gambling. By Bhajana Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex, but avoids sex life entirely, nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. In this
Hare
way,
Krishna.
it is to be understood. Hare Krishna.
Oh, go ahead. That's still over there. Continue.
Nor is he interested. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivritti. The word anartha nivritti, anartha, refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanak Pranam.
So here in rest of the purport here, Prabhupada is talking about how this process of Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Prema, all the stages have been described. And then finally, Prabhupada says, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hayandakaram Jahan Krishna Tahan Maya. Krishna is compared to sunshine, and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes the Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy will immediately vanish. So how do we overcome this avidya? By adarat and anudinam, by respectfully chanting the holy names of the Lord, or else it is mentioned carefully, which means giving up inattentiveness. Anudinam, every day chanting the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So my concluding question on this subject matter, how can we avoid the 10 offenses to the holy name of the Lord? Nam aparadh. Offending Vaishnavas, offending Guru, disrespecting the Lord, etc., etc. What all those things are there. what would be the way to overcome this nama aparadh? Of course, details may vary to each of this little bit, but the principle is same. And what is that? Which is mentioned in the Upadeshamrita. Nindadi Shanya Hridam Ipsata Sangalabda, fifth verse. By taking an association of advanced devotees, and particularly to those whose heart is purified of criticizing others, by being in their association, we would be able to overcome all these 10 anarthas, or not anarthas, these apradhas, the different ways we commit nam aparadh. So, in other words, the easiest way and the best way to make a progress to function under the superior guidance. Now, to function under superior guidance, we need to have certain principle that governs how do we associate with them. Therefore, the sixth verse, Dikshe, कहते हैं, text number 6, Drashte Sabhava Janite Vapuchasta Doshe. Therefore, the sixth verse becomes extremely important. We should give up the material calculation of the devotees of the Lord. Because when we come together, when we come associate closely, then this whole mental conditioning comes back, kicks in, and we begin to compare. And therefore, there's so many things that I mentioned. How to be respectful to a devotee, just like we read something about in relationship to a spiritual master or to a guru. So like this is the whole subject matter. We come to the conclusion of the 7th verse. While taking care of the things which I mentioned in the first 6 verses, giving up bad association, taking association of saintly people, then we'll be able to chant the holy names of the Lord properly. And from here, we can jump to the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Then text 8, 9, 10, 11 would be a subject matter of, these higher stages of practice of Bhakti, which we shall continue to discuss in the upcoming sessions. Not much experience of it. Neither we were taught too much about it, but based on a little bit of scriptural text, we'll try to do some discussion on the subject matter. With that, I'll pause here. If anyone has any comments or questions, we can open the forum for discussion. Hare Krishna. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Upadeshamrita ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai. And post this, I had also put a message in today's discussion. We can also take a look at, now within a short, maybe a span of 2-3 weeks, you will have your exam. We can, after this question answer is done, Madam Medhavni, if you have OBA, we can just pull out an OBA, quickly take a look if in case anyone has any questions on that. So devotees are well prepared for it. Yes, we have questions. Mother Priyanka, your hand is up. Okay, that was something else. Mother Chintamani, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. What I was just thinking, how do we personally analyze ourselves and find out whether in which stage we are? Definitely, we are not in a high. I myself is not in a high stage, but how do I know in which stage I am?
It's the best question
as
to
far
ask.
as chanting is concerned.
I mean, this is generally something we should ask our seniors, with whom and whose under whose guidance we are practicing devotional service. Mm-hmm. They will be able to help us and tell us where we are, how we are standing. For us to self-evaluate, we can evaluate on certain parameters. Certain mechanical parameters. Okay, how many morning programs do I attend in a week? By what time generally I finish my chanting? How is my taste for reading and hearing? Am I doing my quota for reading and hearing? We can, but when it comes to our attitude and behavior, which is something which generally gets transformed over a period of time, that gets for that we can have our senior. They can recommend, they can suggest, they can give us a feedback. How are we doing? How are we cultivating our service attitude? Yes,
this
go ahead.
Question of Namaparad and Namabhas, whether we are in the Namaparad stage or we are going towards Namabhas, how do we sort of evaluate ourselves?
Well, for that we need to see, are we committing this Namaparads? Are we actually, so therefore I'm recommending this book, Harinam Chintamani. We get to know many details into it. I just mentioned some details from Hari Bhakti Vilas in terms of general description of committing aparadh towards one's guru. So when that we get, oh, I'm not doing certain thing right, then we'll understand. In terms of am I committing aparadh towards the holy name of the Lord, one thing that happens is, am I governed after years of practice? Am I still governed to chant the holy names of the Lord just because it is an instruction to me? Or now it has become a part of my life that I want to chant? And particularly after the 16th round is done, can I chant the 17th round? So after so many years of practice, can I go to that? I'm just saying some ways it does not necessarily indicate that this is the only way. I'm just saying some ways we can do self-introspection for it. Can I move forward for the 17th round and be happy with it? Or, it says, no, I'm not saying if you're not able to chant the 17th round, it means you're doing namaprad. I'm not indicating that way. I'm just saying for you to look into it. And best, such subject matter could be taken up with an individual to whom you're accountable about your life. And then tailor-made things can be advised. How can we really look into it? The one nice things about is, I'm not the best person to say that, but take a time out on Ekadashis and special days to chant 64 rounds. I have not been able to do for the last couple of months, so therefore I'm saying I'm not the best person to advise it. But this is something very, very important to be done. Take out time out on special occasions and chant 64 rounds, maybe chant more rounds. My life had been a little hectic here, so I couldn't do it. So therefore, but these are something which we can do. So idea is the more we chant, the more we overcome this aparadhas. But therefore it is also said not to commit further offenses on the strength of the holy name, thinking that, okay, let me commit and I'll chant more. That thinking should not be there. Therefore, the 7th offense is mentioned like that. These are my some thoughts onto it. Fine, Mother?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Ji.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Mother Medhavni.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Sorry, Prabhu. Something technical. Okay, so Prabhu, my question is, first of all and foremost, thank you for the very wonderful session, Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is, in this paragraph of that purport, Prabhupada is mentioning people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads, and this may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired, like that Prabhupada is mentioning. And then on the other hand, we always hear Anusaran and Anukaran, right? We should not imitate, rather we should follow instructions. So is it the right understanding that this is in the beginning stage where people just get attracted to Krishna consciousness and then they do this imitation, but as we grow in Krishna consciousness, we understand that, because they say imitation is the best form of flattery or something like that, right? So as we progress in Krishna consciousness, we understand that, we have to not, we have to follow the instructions and not do. Is that the what the Prabhupada is trying to say here? Is that the right understanding?
So, Hari Bhakti Vilas mentions in the first Vilas only, one of the verses mentioned, one should not try to imitate one spiritual master. How he speaks, how he laughs, how he walks, how he talks, like that. Why? It's just because of puja la pratishta. It indicates and it's considered disrespectful. So when Prabhupada is mentioning about imitation of good thing is good, as you said, it's for the initial stages. If that inspires them to get connected, that time nobody knows anything, that's okay. Not for later on. All right.
Yeah, Prabhu, and like this is a personal question actually. So Prabhu, I generally tend to pick up things, if I say, for example, if I admire someone, the way they respond, it automatically comes naturally. It is not that, I try to endeavor to talk like them or speak like them or use their words or something like that. But, the way they speak, probably, they probably the examples they quote, I may just quote it the way they quote it, So it is like, I'm just imitating them, because the way I speak, because the words also somehow I'm able to use the same words that because I've just heard the class or something. So does that amount to like imitation, or is it in my heart that I want to imitate that person? Because it comes naturally to me, Prabhu. Sometimes I don't know. I hope you understand my question, Prabhu.
The hope is a very ambiguous term, but no problem. Fine. No comments. All right.
Prabhuji, I mean, please help me, Prabhu. I mean, I'm not able to understand, because if that
I
thing comes
got your
naturally to us.
I got your question. There's no doubt on the question here. But how can I say something when I don't know what you're saying? How are you behaving? Is that an imitation or not? Or is just a figure of our mind?
So, Prabhu, is it no? Is it? Should we try to consciously? Because especially since I've identified that
Yes,
that
something
tendency
is
in me.
happening naturally, and if you're conscious that better be myself, then it's okay. Be yourself. If you're quoting an example of somebody that you heard something in a class which you liked it, sharing that's not called imitation. Imitation is particularly about the conduct, the style of speaking, and all that. So that should be. So quoting an example and all that, that's okay. Quoting example is fine. That's parampara. We hear and we speak. It's morely talked about the style on that way. So that's okay.
In that way also, Prabhu. Probably,
So if you
responding
feel
to
like,
messages.
if you feel like, then don't do it. All right.
But Prabhu, it comes naturally. So should I try to to not do it, because it comes as part of my practice itself, Prabhu.
So what answer would you like to hear from me?
I would like to I would like to hear the facts, what I should be doing.
Yeah, because we are debating about the answer now. So I thought, let me ask you only, what answer should I give?
No, Prabhu. My simple question is, when I
So if you
realize that
feel-
it is
I
when I
got your
realize that
question.
the tendency.
If you feel like, if you know that it is happening, then you can stop it.
Okay, Prabhu.
All right. Hare Krishna. Madhurati Manjari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, this is regarding the chanting. Thank you very much for the class. Prabhuji,
I feel sorry I couldn't do justice to it. I really wanted to have this whole presentation of Hinam Chintamani, but I'll definitely do it someday in future. I hold this up, I will not have time. But if not, at least all of you can read it for yourself. That'll give us some details, more finer nuances of our practice. Yes, Mother, go ahead.
Prabhuji, how to overcome sleep? When you're chanting, you feel sleepy after certain
You can eat one gulab jamun before chanting. The whole sleep will go away.
Prabhuji, but it's also an austerity to not to eat anything and chant for the Lord.
So question is about if you feel sleepy during the chanting. Let me read out from Harinam Chintamani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's talk about laziness. Let me just tell you that. 1 second.
Prabhu, I just wanted to share before when you're doing that
Yes.
Madan Sundar Prabhu is doing the offenses to the holy name in the morning Brahma Murta program, which is from 4:30 to 4:45 a.m. So if devotees are interested, you can join in on the Zoom ID, which I can share with you all. If you're interested, you can write to me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So here, two things are mentioned. One is indifference. The second is laziness. It's called jadya. If one chants with lazy attitude, slow to start, slow to end, that is called inertia. If one chants the name in this state, one's taste for the name will not develop. In this state of mind, even when one manages to chant the holy name, one always seeks respite or opportunities to interrupt the chanting. Anyways, so in particular, speaking about the feeling sleepy, one thing which we can investigate about ourselves, are we having enough rest? If not enough rest, if you're having enough rest, and still if we are feeling sleepy and we are getting distracted, pause for a second, then we really need to reflect, have I committed an aparadh? Because this kind of inertia, this kind of disconnect can only happen in that situation. But if it is something that my body needs more rest, then it's okay. then maybe we need to change your lifestyle. So we all go through this. All of us would have experienced. Maybe you can say yes or no. Have you had that experience? Few days your chanting is going pretty smooth, all okay. Particularly in a case when if you're chanting in the morning hours, because then we can evaluate easily as compared to when we chant all through the day. Because that time our mind is focused only in completing. Then we cannot really evaluate. But in the morning hours when you're chanting, sometimes it goes smooth, and sometimes it is like Hare Krishna. It just doesn't move. And it becomes very difficult. And we're just looking for an opportunity to just get up and move here and there, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur was mentioning, inertia or laziness. So that's a time maybe we can just sit back and reflect why Harinam Prabhu have withdrawn his mercy, why there's a disconnect today with the holy names of the Lord, and there's a disconnect, which means I must have committed some aparadh. So we can offer some prayers asking for forgiveness, and maybe just sit back for 30 seconds and think, did I do something wrong? Did I say something inappropriate to some Vaishnava or like this? And if in case we find an iota of it, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we should immediately go and ask for forgiveness. Like this. All right? So, hi, Mother Chintamani, you have something? Mother Medhavani, can you pull out the question in the meantime? Yes, Mother Chintamani.
Prabhuji, I just I wanted to clarify one thing. You said in the last verse that at the time of Diksha with the Guru Mantra, the Prarabdha also gets removed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so more or less, the only Bhakti Devi keeps a little bit of Prarabdha so that people don't take advantage of the Diksha process. So now I just wanted to ask one question, one thing that comes as a doubt in me. What about these devotees who are in places like, Ukraine and all, who have been practicing so nicely and everything? How do they come into such a situation? Why does such a situation arise in their lives? I mean, it's not only in Ukraine; it's now in Israel. So many. Why does it happen to these to such? I mean, to any. It can happen to anyone. Why those devotees?
So such situation never happened in the past. When Hiranyakashipu was ruling this world, were the devotees not there? Were they did not face the trouble at the hand of Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kamsa? What happened at the hands of Kamsa? All the Yadu Vamshas had to run away. Only handful of them remained. They were direct family members of the Lord. Krishna is said to be born in Yadu Vamsha, Lord Krishna. And what happened to Yadu dynasty? In fact, okay, you say parents were the pure devotee, that's a different thing. I don't want to go into that example. Pandavas suffered because we spoke about it, because the Lord wanted to do something. But in case of rest of the Yadu Vamshas, what happened? Even they had to face so much challenges like this. So how and what the Lord has in place, and plus what we have done in the past, we don't know about it. But we know one thing for sure. Name Bhakta Pranashati. What has been said, we know for sure. And that is also said, understanding how the karma functions is very complicated, and how does Lord would going to play out in the lives of individuals, we just don't know. But we know that Lord says Name Bhakta Pranashati. That's just Lord is never not going to let their devotees perish. Physically, there could be some challenges, but in their consciousness, the remembrance of the Lord will not be obstructed. What would be better? Holding a gun, defending one's home in a war-torn country, dying there in that situation while remembering the Lord, and somebody passing off comfortably sleeping in an AC room with no consciousness of the Lord. So physically, it may seem like, oh, this devotee so peacefully passed away. The Lord was so kind to him, no challenges. But look at this devotee who passed away in a war-torn country, so much challenges. But what is ultimate? Where did they go after that? There's a very individual thing. So it's a very subjective thing. I don't know what to say for that. Fine?
Yes. Thank you.
So I'll just